It is incredible that the front axle of the truck that was broken like this can be restored to good condition and continue to be used after a simple replacement in Pakistan. How did they do it? The truck in front of us was pulled too much. The front axle shaft head was broken directly, and the other section was stuck on the sheep's foot. Due to this kind of damage that cannot be moved, the owner quickly contacted the local repair shop to prepare to remove the front axle for repair. After the master successfully lifted the front axle, he found a new engine top was needed to support the bottom to facilitate disassembly. The purpose of removing the riding screw was achieved. Rome's loosening hole was not difficult. When the master was working hard to disassemble it, the sheep's foot and the wheel drum needed to be separated. The main purpose was to remove the fragments stuck in the kingpin. However, the fragments could not be welded back to the front axle. The undamaged sheep's foot can still be used. After the broken shaft head fragments were removed, the 4 riding bolts were also successfully loosened. This is also the only fixing point between the front axle and the plate yellow. Obviously, the shaft head cannot be repaired on site. It can only be cut and replaced. The front axle needs to be sent to their repair. Their 3-wheeled vehicle drove quickly, and it took only 2 minutes to travel 10 kilometers. After the front axle was successfully unloaded, the axle head was not only broken, but also deformed. Fu first had to separate the other elevation angles to facilitate subsequent repairs and corrections. Direct welding of the axle head would definitely not meet the requirements. The master was ready to use the same model of dismantled car parts to directly replace the axle head. After confirming that the kingpin was just right, in order to avoid splicing and shortening the length, Fu first had to mark the cutting line. After confirming the length of the replacement axle head, it was necessary to use the second boot to cut off the excess corners to avoid data errors in the front axle after splicing. With the master's very meticulous cutting, the splicing surface of the replacement axle head was processed. Next, the broken axle head of the front axle can be completely removed according to the previous mark. Although Yang Yi's cutting was very fast, they still needed to make precise measurements and calculations before splicing the replacement axle head. After confirmation, simply spot weld with welding rods. In order to prevent the axle head from deviating and affecting the installation of the sheep's foot, when there is no problem with the position of the axle head, in order to allow the two to have a larger welding area, Fu also needs to make an oblique cut at the bottom. The main purpose is to weld all the fracture surfaces to bear the force. After cutting and enlarging the cracks on the splicing surface, you can use welding rods with high hardness to fill them with full welding. Because the welding area is too large, it increases the firmness of the axle head welding. Fu also needs to clean the welding slag after each welding layer to prevent the internal slag from affecting the welding front. After consuming 8 welding rods, the other side is simply spot welded and fixed. So it is also necessary to cut the bevel with the defect. The strength of both sides can be completely consistent. After confirming that the groove width on both sides is similar, the same simple welding method is used until the formed weld bar is flush with the surface of the front axle. In order to make the spliced axle head more beautiful, the flat weld bar surface needs to be carefully polished. Although the front axle has been spliced now, because the front axle has been deformed by force, the master first needs to use charcoal to heat it at high temperature and anneal the axle head to reduce the overall hardness. After half an hour of heating with a high fire, the red front axle has reached the shaping requirements. In order to prevent the front axle from cooling, it is necessary to use a hydraulic press to extrude and shape it while it is hot. The axle head can be restored to the original angle. Then the elevation angle is compared. In this way, even if the horizontality measured by the steel teeth is unqualified, the cooled front axle can continue to be correct. The master uses the card to compare carefully. The axle head after splicing has reached the standard for use. After confirming that it is correct, the kingpin is used to fix the sheep's foot. As for the owner, he still needs to deliver the goods in a hurry. The 3-wheeled vehicle needs to be delivered to the scene of the breakdown overnight. Although this front axle was repaired from day to night, it is more cost-effective than replacing a new one. This is also the reason why the owner is willing to wait. This simple front axle is also installed very quickly by the masters. When the tire can rotate normally, what about this front axle with a broken axle head? I can use it again. IQ is really amazing.